Angie. Okay, Judy.
On November 26th, that approved the financials and appropriations transfer for mental health, moving funds from their salaries to their OPERS account.
Okay. And then number 2.
On December 2nd, for transit, approved the hiring of John Zarek to the position of part-time transit driver, to be effective December 9th, at the rate of $14.54 per hour, with a 1-year probationary period. Offer of employment is contingent upon the successful completion of the required pre-employment conditions.
Good. Morning, Adrian.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
Good. Good turkey day?
What's that?
You have a good turkey day?
Oh yeah, really good. Yeah, it was nice getting all the family together. So, today's financials include an appropriations transfer to the Sheriff's Department for reimbursement of web checks and miscellaneous reimbursement checks that were deposited into the general fund. And among the encumbrances is the travel request from JFS to attend the Ohio JFS December general session meeting. And then and now from transit to Geauga door for door repairs not previously encumbered. And among the vouchers are $118,511 from Water Resources to Valley Ford Truck for a new 2019 Ford F-750 cab and chassis, and also a revenue certification from the ADP board and their contract services fund for additional revenue they received this year.
Any questions, comments? Okay, motion to approve financials?
So move. Second?
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier? Commissioner Lennon?
Aye. Thank you, Adrian. Appreciate it. Okay, auditor's office.
They are not here.
Okay.
This is an amended resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. This is due to the 2 levies that passed on the November ballot.
Okay. You could get a motion to approve item number 4.
So move. Second?
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner
Morning, Frank.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
Morning.
Hey Frank, how are you? Good, how are you? Good, good.
So it's that time of year again.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're getting a little bit of snow this morning. Not
Perfect.
forecasted at all.
Good timing, right? Yeah. Part of your presentation? Or?
Yeah, right, yeah.
No.
Bring it with me,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay. So, number 5, the county engineer's office requesting the board approve and execute a snow and ice control agreement among Geauga County Board of Commissioners, Geauga County Engineer, and Bainbridge Township Board of Trustees to provide snow and ice control on 14 miles of county roads, Chagrin Road, Bainbridge Road, and Washington Street for the winter season of 2019 through 2020 in the amount of $54,810.31. I could get a motion.
So move. Second?
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Okay, and it looks like the same thing, county engineers is requesting the board approve and execute snow and ice control agreement among Geauga County Board of Commissioners, Geauga County Engineer, and Chester Township Board of Trustees to provide snow and ice control on 15.09 miles of county roads, Wilson Mills Road, Sperry Road, Mulberry Road, and Caves Road for the winter season of 2019 through 2020 in the amount of $59,077.68.
So move. Second?
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner
Aye.
Spillier? Commissioner Lennon?
Aye. And the county engineer's office approve and execute snow and ice control agreement among the Geauga County Board of Commissioners, Geauga County Engineer, Russell Township Board of Trustees to provide snow and ice control on 8.628 miles of county roads, Fairmount Road, Russell Road, and Caves Road for the winter season of 2019 through 2020 in the amount of $33,778.81.
So move.
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Good deal. Yes.
Thank
Thank you.
Appreciate
Hey,
it.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
How many years have you been doing this?
The snowplow agreements?
Yes.
12
10,
before I
12.
started, 15 years ago, 20 years, I don't know.
Then I actually saved money.
Oh, definitely, absolutely.
So so those are the little busier roads, and then the townships will maintain the smaller roads then, is that the idea?
Those are all of the county roads within those
Okay,
townships.
okay.
Yeah. See, they're already driving on them to go to their subdivision roads and whatnot, and go to
Yeah.
other places, so that was where they started.
Might as well,
They're already-
yeah.
The truck's already there.
Right,
you know, How we all save money.
makes sense.
Good deal.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Great.
The next two are from the prosecutor's office for the sheriff's office, and I see that neither one of them are
Okay,
here.
that's fine.
This is the annual appointment, reappointment of Mr. Hildebrand and Mr. Walder to the Volunteer Peace Officers Dependents Fund Board for the term ending December 31st.
So when was Chuck Wald, was he appointed last year then, or?
He was appointed to fill the remainder of the year when Frank left, and then he was reappointed last year. And then, so this is the reappointment for both of them.
Volunteer Peace Officer Dependents Fund. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The sheriff's office has to do, they have to post the positions and do board members and such on their end as well.
I see.
Your appointment has to be done before the
Okay.
next meeting.
Okay, so the prosecutor's office requesting the board reappoint Sheriff Scott Hillebrand to the Volunteer Peace Officers Dependents Fund Board for the term ending December 31st, 2020. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Right.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes. Okay, and same thing, prosecutor's office requesting the board reappoint Auditor Charles Walder to the Volunteer Peace Officers Dependents Fund Board for the term ending December 31st, 2020.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Right.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yeah. Okay. And then,
Yes.
yes.
Hi, good
Oh, no.
morning.
Oh, aging, I'm sorry. Yep, I jumped. Yep, okay.
We don't wanna hear from you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Jerry, calm down.
Yeah.
He's buried at the moment.
Good
Pile of
morning,
paperwork.
good morning. So we have our contract with the Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging for our older American Act funds for us to cover transportation for our seniors to the adult daycare program and to the senior centers, as well as for some evidence-based programming, which is our matter of balance diabetes classes in the amount of $276,015.15. It's a reimbursement based grant.
Make that motion.
Second?
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Okay. Now we're ready for you. Roger.
How are
Morning.
you? Good morning, good morning.
How are you? Excellent.
Good morning, Ron.
How's everything?
Things are good. Things are good. So number 11 is the Geauga County Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan. It is a required plan that gets updated every 5 years. This plan identifies the natural hazards of Geauga County and plans on how to mitigate any issues should any disasters occur. Once this plan is signed, it gets sent down to Columbus. We then have the villages sign off on it. The townships automatically get adopted under it. But the most important thing is if there's a disaster without this plan, we would not be eligible for FEMA funding if any should come available. So this is just keeping all of the checks in a row, so if something happens, we are eligible for some funding.
Gotcha. Very good. Appreciate that. Okay, if we could get a reading on that, please.
The Department of Emergency Services is requesting the board approve and execute resolution 19174 adopting the updated Geauga County Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan for fiscal year 2020.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier? Commissioner Lennon?
Aye. Great, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Austin
Appreciate
did
it.
the whole plan.
Did he really?
A lot of the other agencies contract that out. We took care of it all internally.
Very good.
Oh, very
Yeah,
good.
I know you guys are doing
Great.
working hard. Appreciate it.
We have 15 minutes before.
Is that the copy of it, or no?
You've already sent it.
Oh, okay, okay, yep, okay. Thank you, guys.
So being that we have 15 minutes, we can actually go down to water resources.
Okay.
And skip down to number 13.
Sounds good.
So Steve is here. He did arrive.
Yep.
Come on down.
Steve? So we're gonna go to,
We're
we'll
gonna
wait
skip
till 9:30.
down.
Morning, Steve.
Yeah.
Public hearing.
Yes.
everybody. A few items today.
Going to number 13.
No, 14. I mean.
14.
13.
13.
I have 13 is water. Do you
Utility
have none?
road.
Do you have none? We're gonna, you need this one.
Oh,
I'm like, wait a minute. We're missing one.
Okay.
So we're, the Department of Water Resource requesting the board amend the notes that we did in November to correct the amount of fund payment. And correcting the estimate to $9,880.52. The reason the change is the final figures were tallying a little differently. This is our final payment on this project. So it's just a correction of the fee.
Okay.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
The second one is similar to the first. We're requesting the board approve and authorize the president of the board to execute the OPWC Commission Appendix E disbursement request form and certification 6 for the Bay Bridge Trunk Main Relocation Project for $12,350.29.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner
Aye.
Spillier? Commissioner Rea?
Yes.
And I believe this is my last one. Number 15. Water Resource requesting the board approve and execute Resolution 19176, authorizing myself to execute any and all instruments and indemnify for the bond posted to the Ohio Department of Health, BDH, private water systems for private water systems installers license regarding water treatment plants and distribution operations.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier? Commissioner Rea?
Yes. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Have a good one. Morning.
Morning.
Hey guys, how are ya?
Good,
Good.
good.
Broken.
Good morning.
So we're just here for the second part of getting our levy, first 0.5 mil levy on the ballot for the primary May 17th, or March 17th.
So there's two items for JFS. The first is to acknowledge receipt of the certificate of estimated property tax revenue of the dollar amount that will be generated by the levy.
Mhm.
And then the second is the resolution to then go ahead and place it on the ballot.
Okay. You want to read both of those, please?
The Department of Job and Family Services is requesting the board acknowledge receipt of the certificate of estimated property tax revenue in regards to the renewal of a 5/10 of a mil necessary requirements levy. The Department of Job and Family Services is requesting the board approve and execute resolution 19177 declaring it necessary to levy a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation to provide for the necessary requirements of the Geauga County Department of Job and Family Services, ORC 5705.07 and 5705.24.
So, let me ask you a quick question on this. So how much will this, like, what do you think this will cost to run this levy? Like, what do you think the cost?
As far as campaigning,
Yeah, as far as like, is there, what's involved with the process? It's this little bit of an amount. Why couldn't this just be added to the other levy so we don't have to go through this every time?
like if you mean to just combine them to do
Yeah.
one levy?
Yeah.
That's one thing that we could do. The other thing is that the 0.7 mil levy that we have, because we have two operating levies. They're
Right.
both fairly small.
Right.
Considering about what's on. The other one actually is an older levy, which costs less to the public. So I've been informed that it's really not good to get rid of that levy because it still has like the payback. There's a payback that went away years ago. So
What is that? I'm not familiar with it.
the 0.7 mil levy, because the laws changed in between, actually costs it's better to preserve that levy because it costs less to the taxpayer because there's a payback that comes from, I believe it's from the state.
So you couldn't add this to that and still get that?
I can't, correct, no, I cannot. Any change to that levy and you no longer have that.
I see.
So one of the thoughts down the road is that we could potentially combine them and maybe reduce the millage. But the thing that's difficult with children's services is, that I learned when I first went in, is you never know when a situation like the opiate epidemic came about, and the next thing you know, it totally blew up our budget because we had 60, 70, sometimes 80 kids in custody, which was unprecedented at that time. So it's very hard to
I see.
predict. I don't have a budget that is flat. that where I can just say, you know, this year I'm gonna spend $3 million and it's gonna be the same next year and the same.
No, I understand.
You know, so it's difficult. It's something that I have to.
I just was
monitor.
thinking, you know, just like a lot of work for, you know, this, and it would just be easier maybe if it was just together, but if it can't be, I understand.
Yeah, no, I would never say I can't. I mean, it can, I just don't know if that would be best
Right.
to the taxpayers.
Understood.
But I mean, you say your budget's not flat, but I mean, you're pretty consistent in your spending. I mean, I wouldn't say there's a big jump from year to year as far as how much your budget is or what how much is being spent, right?
No, when it comes to, well, there's the budget that you guys see, and
Yeah.
then there's also the cost that comes to paying for children placements and stuff
Right.
like that. And so we try to maintain it being consistent, but it isn't. There's some years that we can be spending $2 million in placement costs for children, and because that doesn't go to staffing, that goes to just overall
No, I get it.
costs. So, and then there can be years that it's $1 million
Yeah.
in spending for placement. So that really can change year to year.
Mm. So, is that number been going down or going up over the placements?
Monthly
with the drug.
changes. It's been down the past, I would say the past year and a half, 2 years. But
Yeah,
we're now
should
starting
be.
to see a little bit of an uptick with methamphetamine and some other
Mhm.
substances that are kind of making a comeback. So
Synthetic drugs too.
Mhm. So it just, any month can change. I mean, we can have a court month where we're given custody of 15, 20 kids in custody, and we just don't know what's coming. So it's just, but we've been very careful with the taxpayer dollars.
How many employees do you have there right now, total?
We're just short of 90.
And that's been pretty consistent over the last 4 or 5 years, 90?
Yeah, you know, our staffing has been maintained.
Mhm.
I make a motion for 16 and 17.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Rea?
Yes.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thanks,
Thank
Kristen,
you.
for your help.
Bye now.
Yep.
Question before Craig leaves.
Sure.
You were here, a week ago, and the question was asked then about the possibilities of this renewal actually becoming a continual levy.
We can't, actually, Children's Services levies can't be continuous in
can't be.
nature. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so-
and
all
and
right.
I don't know, I don't think that would be good to the taxpayers.
So as far as you can see it, this will be a renewal then 5 years from now, again.
I can't, I don't know if it's gonna be,
Yeah.
if I would have to assess every single time to make sure that it's something that should go to the
I mean,
taxpayers and where our budget is.
it's over half of your budget, isn't it, this levy? How much is this?
No, it's 1.575 million, so no.
Oh, okay.
'Cause we have another
I thought you
one-
were telling
A
us.
year.
Huh?
That's what it is, a year, right?
Yes.
Oh.
No,
I thought,
it's not our budget.
I thought you said if this didn't pass, your budget was, maybe that was a different levy, somebody else in here.
That was 18.
Oh,
No,
okay.
that was-
Yeah.
that's not-
Okay.
That was last week.
I can't keep
That
them
is their
straight.
deal.
We have two levies, a .5 mil,
Okay.
.5 mil, and
Okay.
a .7 mil.
Okay.
So, any other questions? Yeah, no,
Thank you for
yeah.
that confidence. It's become a real concern for some of us.
Well, yeah, for us, it's, I don't, we need to assess our budgets, and that's why we keep it at 5 years, not 7 years, not 10 years, is we actually want to bring it back to the taxpayers and be assessing it continuously to make sure that it's something that we need.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Craig.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so we're on to 18, 19, 20. So we've had applications resubmitted from our planning commission. We've had Katrina Coca-Fulton. She wants to reapply for the term January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2022. If we could get a motion to reappoint Katrina Coca-Fulton.
I just want to combine them, all three, would that be okay, Tim?
Sure, yeah.
Combine 18, 19, and 20, that's Katarina, Gary Neola, Jim McCaskey.
Second?
Okay.
Commissioner DeWitt?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier? Commissioner Wonder?
Yes. Very good. So, okay, those are January 1st.
Since we have a little bit before the hearing, just so you know, on board appointments, Chip Hess, his term will expire at the end of December for the Airport Authority. They also have two appointments that they explain that they have to appoint on the airport side. Community Development has three committees that they have submitted applications and stuff for reorg. Job and Family Services will probably send their stuff for Family Services Planning Committee. Law Library also has a appointment that will expire at the end of the year, that's Mrs. Gillette. You just did your Planning Commission, and then Aging has one for their advisory board. So that's all of the boards that we have.
When is Chip Hess's?
He'll expire at the end of December.
And
I have not heard anything
Okay.
from the Airport Authority yet.
Okay. I would assume he probably would. Yeah.
But I was kind of waiting to see if he was gonna send it to somebody.
Okay.
So,
Could we all three have a list, so we could put our thinking caps on for those?
Yeah.
yes, I just got the thing from Jessica for their appointments,
Okay.
so I will put a packet together with the list and send it to you guys so you can
Got
have
it.
a look at it.
How are we doing with the Rural Advisory Council?
I have heard nothing from the WACA.
Because I know, well, John Ferguson stepped down, or
I think we have two to appoint on or before January 10th.
before January 10th.
Yeah,
We gotta get a couple on that.
And those have to be township trustees?
No, not
No, I don't
necessarily.
think so.
No.
But John, he's so frustrated, he just said, I can't deal with this anymore, I'm driving down there and says, but so we need to see if we
It's
can.
quarterly meetings, right?
Yes, yeah.
yes, those
We could ask Gary Neola or somebody like that, or, I don't know. Ask, start thinking of somebody. Okay, it's 9:30, so we're gonna jump back to, number 12. The Commissioners will hold a public hearing at 9:30 a.m. for the proposed vacation of the public right-of-way upon a portion of Doty Road, TR-0532 in Parkland Township. Good morning.
Commissioner, good morning.
How are you guys?
And before we start, if it's okay, can I swear in anybody who's gonna speak or who
Sure.
may be speaking or possibly could be asked some questions?
Yeah, so,
Anybody from Parkman here? Yeah, okay. Everybody? You
Yep.
two? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And before you speak, if you could just identify yourself, that would be helpful.
Andrew Howe, Geauga County Engineer's Office, Deputy Engineer.
Taylor's Goodrich, Engineer's Office, Surveyor.
Awesome.
Can I have a motion to waive the reading of the notice?
so moved.
Second?
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Wonder?
Aye. Okay. So, we're at the finish line here,
We're
right?
at the finish line.
Yeah.
Again.
Gotta get it over, at the 1 yard line, yeah.
This is the second game of the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Don't fumble.
Yeah, don't have to.
Or take your helmet off.
Yeah.
No, don't take it on.
Yeah.
No, after the meeting last week, I think my take from walking away was very clear what was happening. If there's any comments from anybody?
Is there any comments from the
No.
audience participants? No? Okay.
I do want to enter into this to the hearing. This is a notarized letter that we received from Mr. Wagner that he was writing in regards to the newly proposed vacation of portion of Doty Road, beginning at a point located 60 feet east of the intersection of center line and the western lines of lots 2 and 5 and extending easterly approximately 613 feet in length. He is unable to attend the hearing, and at the advice of the county engineer's office, he's writing to this letter in support of the vacation.
And he's in a budding property owner, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Very good. Okay.
I don't know if it's appropriate now, but I'm more than willing to read the engineer's report, which I believe has to be read out loud at the hearing.
Okay, sure.
And Christine, if you have the original signed copy, I prefer to read that. That way you know it's right one.
Yeah.
Let's figure out where it got put in. Hold on one second.
No problem.
Do I have it?
I do have a copy.
It's not in the file.
Not a problem. This is the Tuesday, November 26, 2019, Office of County Engineer, Engineers Report, ORC 555306, proposed vacation of the public right-of-way upon a portion of Doty Road, Township Road 532 in Parkview Township, Geauga County, Ohio. On October 1st, 2019, the Parkman Township Board of Trustees passed resolution number 19-204, petitioning the Geauga County Board of Commissioners to vacate public right-of-way upon a portion of Doty Road, TR 532, pursuant to section 5553.045 of the Ohio Revised Code. Location of the public right-of-way of portion Doty Road proposed to be vacated begins approximately 60 feet east of the intersection of the center line of Doty Road and the western lines of lots 2 and 5, section 23, Parkman Township, to the east approximately 613 feet in length along the center line, following the line between the original lots 2 and 5, section 23, Parkman Township. This portion of Doty Road to be vacated has never been physically constructed and has never been used as a public highway for a period of greater than 21 years. And under section 5553.042 Revised Code, Parkman Township has lost all rights in and to the same. The portion of said Doty Road at issue is not used to calculate distributions of the Auto Registration Distribution Fund. Upon vacation of the approximately 613-foot long public right-of-way portion of Doty Road, the public right-of-way is extinguished over parcels 25-023900 and 25-004400. The abutting property owners are identified as follows. 1. Permanent parcel number 25-023900, Richard A. Gates, trustee, 18491 Nelson Parkman Road, Garrettsville, Ohio, 44231. The property lies on the north side of the existing Doty Road. Number 2. Current parcel number 25-004400, Kyle and Lauren Wagaman, Sharon Sanborn, trustees, 19151 Nelson Parkman Road, Garrettsville, Ohio, 44231, whose property lies on the south side of Doty Road. The intent of this vacation action is to, number 1, vacate the portion of public right-of-way of Doty Road from 60 feet east of the portion where Doty Road intersects the western line of lot number 5 in section 23, also being the westerly property line of permanent parcel number 25-004400, now are formerly owned by Kyle and Lauren Wagman, by deed recorded in volume 2029, page 2092 of the Geauga County Records of Deeds. Number 2, not to extinguish the rights of ingress and egress reserved under the law, if any, to the abutting property owners named herein. All public utilities retain ingress and egress rights or easement rights within the vacated right-of-way limits resulting from a road vacation per state law. All abutting property owners were notified, and notice of the hearing was published in accordance with Ohio law. Based on the facts above, the Office of the County Engineer believes the vacation requested would be for the public convenience and necessity. Whereby Andrew W. Howe, PEPS, under supervision of Joe Catella, PEPS, Geauga County Engineer. There.
Okay. Any, very good, thank you. Any questions, comments?
I just have one comment. As the board may be aware, the board can vacate a road if they make a determination that it's in the public convenience and welfare to do so. And I know the engineer commented to that effect and indicated that the road was never put in.
Okay.
Is there anybody from Parkman who'd like to make a comment or say they're in favor of it, or?
Henry Duchère, I'm a trustee in Parkman, and the trustee supported.
Okay.
Thanks for
Very
coming
good.
out today.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Rick Gates, and son of the landowner to the north, and yeah, I'm in favor of it.
Okay.
Very good.
Wonderful, thanks.
Okay, so it sounds like we got unanimous support. There's no objection to it, so we can move forward. And do we need a motion or anything to
I just need to close the public hearing.
close the public hearing? Okay, make a motion to close the public hearing at 9:38. a.m. Get a second?
Chrissy, are you gonna have him sign the
Second.
resolution?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay.
Typically, we don't
Okay.
usually we just.
All right.
I do have a motion then to, approve and execute resolution 19175 to order the vacation of the public right-of-way upon a portion of Doty Road, TR 0532 in Parkman Township, and further execute the final plat.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, good work. That took a long time.
It's kind of sitting on my desk.
You learned a lot there, didn't you?
Oh, there's more to go. I'm sure, somewhere.
You got an education.
Yes.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Good seeing you, Rick. We'll talk.
It's pretty crazy just for that little piece of road that was like a nothing, all the work that went into that, you know?
It takes years.
It's unbelievable.
Well, we
I mean-
started on it previous, because we did the unmade, non-numbered portion.
It's like an act of Congress.
Okay. I figured.
Okay.
You're down there in the bottom left corner.
That's good.
Just mark yes over here. Tim, can I see him on this one just to, so you don't get called back?
Yeah.
I'll track it in.
Oh, yeah. Did that one for some reason.
All right. That's that.
That. This. Is this part of something?
That's mine. That's my motion.
Okay. So we got through.
We are up to 21.
21.
Adrian's gonna do a presentation for you.
Okay.
Is it just the one top sheet, Tim?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we can get started on
Yep.
agenda item
Ralph, you might want to move.
Yep.
21.
So you don't get-
Adrian, you're not done yet?
Nice.
I can be if you want.
Yeah,
You
right.
just vote on it, we can vote on it.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
Alright.
beauty.
We'll let that dry while you guys are watching. We have no screen. Is it open? There you go. Oh. Flip the light switch behind you. Oh, Tim's gonna. Go play a light switch.
Almost.
Okay, well, welcome to the 2020 Permanent Appropriations presentation. My name's Adrian Gorton, I'm the Budget Finance Manager. Jerry Morgan here is County Administrator, and obviously the Commissioners and Christy and all the staff here. Want to thank everyone for helping me put this together, and all the departments as well, the department heads and everything come together in order to put this budget together for next year. So without further ado, I'll get started. A lot of this is going to be very familiar. from previous years. So feel free though, we'll have some time at the end to ask questions, but if you have something pressing you want to ask, just feel free to break in and ask your question, not a problem at all. So as most of you are probably aware, the Budget Commission in about August certifies the revenues that are expected to be received for the following year. That, along with whatever the cash balance is in the funds, become part of the total resources that we have to budget with. So the county commissioners appropriate those funds then to the county departments through this budget process. And the total amount of appropriations by fund cannot exceed the certified amount of resources as determined by the Budget Commission. Ideally, I guess what the Budget Commission would like to see is for us to utilize, not utilize all the available resources. So in this part of this process, although we're kind of through the tax budget before we fully understood what their desires were, we did attempt to at least take some first steps towards trying to do that, trying to leave something unappropriated. So in the tax budget, what we assumed was a minimum carryover balance of $5 million. Our 2020 revenues that we expected to get were a little over $30 million. So the total resources that we had available to us was $35.3 million. And from the time we do the tax budget in the spring until this permanent appropriation, once the Budget Commission certifies that revenue, we don't change the revenue numbers. The expense numbers can move around and change a little bit, but the revenue stays the same. So you can see from here the 2020 general fund revenues, as I said, $35.3 million. This chart kind of shows a breakdown of those amounts. So the sales tax in this county continues to remain the primary funding mechanism for the general fund, and that's at $14 million, or really pretty close to 50% of our revenue at 46.19%. Real estate taxes are next at about $7.88 million, or a little over 25% of the budget.
And Adrian, can I just stop?
Sure.
In Geauga County, I mean, are we still, I would imagine, probably one in the lower bracket as far as rate goes for sales
Yeah,
tax?
I think there may be one that got added to that, but I think there are only like about 3 counties with a lower sales tax rate than Geauga County.
Right.
We are among, I don't know, maybe about 10 other counties that are at the level that we're at, and the rest of them are above us.
Yeah.
With Cuyahoga County being the highest at 8%.
Sure. I'd be interested to see, per capita too, as far as the size of Geauga County versus that sales tax number, if it makes a difference, I mean,
I don't have that available right now, but I could get that for you.
Yeah, I was just curious.
The other nice thing about the sales tax is that it's not all Geauga County residents
That's
paying
right.
that. Because the location of a majority of our commercial is right on the borders. We're
Yeah.
close enough that outside of the county residents are coming in,
Right.
doing their shopping here, paying their sales taxes into the county fund.
I mean, I think it's a credit to Geauga County over the, years that we've been able to remain, conservative in our approach and still remain, low in our, sales tax.
Right.
Nobody's looked to add on to that, and we'd like to continue that. And, I know some, there's some other counties that turn to that every time they, get in hot water,
Yeah, I think Lake County just
Yeah,
increased
just did
theirs
it
as
again,
well.
yeah.
So next are department fees and fines. That's gone up a little bit. Some of the departments did refresh their fees and fines and bring more in line. A lot of those, particularly the building department, had been long overdue for a refresh on their rates. Prisoner housing is next. That has always been relatively low. We've budgeted that relatively low. It's been pretty consistent now at well over $1 million, if not close to 2 million. So we did increase that to 1.2 million for this year to kind of bring it more in line with what the revenues are that we're expecting. And again, that's another thing that we are kind of trying to work with the Budget Commission on to try and bring these revenues up to what their expected amounts were. One of the reasons why we were conservative on the prisoner housing is it did fluctuate, it seemed initially quite a bit, but we've got, the sheriff has several agreements with local municipalities and with ICE detainees there and everything. The amount's been pretty consistent of late, so.
And because we have a significant, or not significant, but portion of that prisoner housing is ICE, next year that number may go back down.
Yeah, you can't bank on it.
Depending
Yeah.
on the 2020 election.
That's right.
Whether that's gonna still be something we're gonna be able to bank on in 2021 and going forward.
And after that is the property transfer tax at $1 million, the casino tax at $1 million. The casino tax was one of those taxes on the gross earnings of the casino. 51% of those taxes that were collected are set aside for counties. The amount that's been allocated to the counties is based on the population. That casino tax was supposed to replace a majority of the local government tax, which went down significantly several years past. So far it has, although it's another one of those ones that's kind of, capable of fluctuating greatly. So we try not to depend on that, yeah.
That didn't quite pan out the way they sold it, did it, the casino tax? No.
So, and that depends a lot on the economy as well, because, not as many people have disposable income like that if the economy's not doing that good. So
Right.
we've had a good economy the last several years, so, the casino tax has been pretty consistent of late, but that could always change. So then you have other, which encompasses several items, including rents, gas well proceeds, insurance reimbursements, other reimbursements, miscellaneous grants, auction proceeds. A bunch of that stuff is wrapped up in that 700,000. And then the cost allocation, which is the last one there at about $500,000. That is a charge back to county departments outside the general fund for services provided by the general fund. They share in the cost of those. So total appropriations, this is countywide. We're looking at about 121.1.2 million. That is up a little less than $1 million from 2019, the beginning of this year, the adopted budget. A majority of that, probably about $615,000, is due to the fact that we have 27 pay periods next year. We also funded 4 vehicles for the sheriff's department, and we also allowed some personnel increases in archives as well as the planning department, which are within the general fund. So total appropriations for the general fund is $34.3 million. General fund line item requests are about 36, almost 36.5. This does not include any requests that require transfers from the general fund to non-general fund departments or items like ADP for their computers and stuff that they want, as well as court technology. Those are 2 items that would not be included in here. Some of the items that make up the difference between those 2 numbers, we're talking about $343,000 from the sheriff. This is for payroll and benefits. $352,000 from auditor and AEP for requests in their payroll, contract, and repair services. materials and supplies and trainings. About $650,000 from Commissioners Miscellaneous for some operating transfers, special counsel, BCMH and insurance. And kind of what I did, and I'll talk about this more maybe a little bit later, is, you know, we kind of, in order to try and comply more closely with what the Budget Commission is looking for us to do, we went through, looked at all the departments, looked at like a 4 or 5 year average of what they're spending in some of their line items, and you know, if their current needs versus what their history has been don't meet up with what their budget request was necessarily, some of those things we looked at and decreased in order to be more in line with what their expected expenses are. So there is also in here is about $1.21 million for equipment for the Board of Elections, which we had initially budgeted this year, but they were not able to get it done in time for the state, because the state doesn't want them going into a presidential election year with all new equipment. So they're gonna get that probably and have it implemented after the presidential election. But it will be in 2020. So here's a breakdown on where all the general fund operating expenses are. Of course, public safety is the sheriff's office and the coroner, and that's about 12.7 million or 40.4% of the budget. Legislative and executive is the next largest one there, at 10.8 million, 34.4%. That includes our office, the auditors, archives, prosecutor, recorder, treasurer, ADP, maintenance, and planning. And then judicial at 4.8 million or 15.4%, which includes clerk of courts, common pleas, the common pleas court. That's not a separate, I don't know why that box wasn't wide enough, I apologize. Juvenile, probate, and muni court. Some of the smaller pie sections here, including miscellaneous, that includes youth home, police prosecutor, pretrial release, postage, legal fees, etc. There's several things wrapped up in there. Health is the Bureau for Mentally Handicapped. These are amounts that were required based on our general fund budget to set aside for the state to pay for some of these expenses for the children with mental handicaps. And Human Services, Veterans Commission, that's about 600,000 or 2.1. And then OSU Extension and Soil and Water is that conservation recreation one. That's about 1.8% of the budget. Any questions on that at all? No? Okay. So here's what the outlook will probably be at near the beginning of the year as we look to do supplementals for any departments that have delayed funding requests. So I'm expecting to be able to transfer roughly about $6 million or so into our capital reserve fund, which did get set up. The state did allow us to get that taken care of. So we're expecting our 120 cash balance to be around 11 to $12 million. Carryover encumbrances probably around a little less than $1 million. So we should have net available resources at the beginning of the year of about 10.7, plus our certified revenue and less the appropriations, should leave us with about 6.7 million unappropriated. And then the pending general fund request, which does include re-upping our operating and capital transfers out accounts, as well as that election equipment at about 6.7, 6.8. So it does leave a slight deficit there, so there's going to be some amounts that are going to be kind of floating on that, probably more in the operating and capital transfers, but we will take a look at that once the actual numbers are known. So this is a little more of a breakdown on those pending requests that I mentioned earlier. So This includes court technology and the ADP board requests. The ADP board, outside the general fund, they were looking at about $126,300, so that is wrapped up in that top amount there. So you got ADP for 310, the auditor for about 167. The requests from the auditor included items in contract services, some county and state tax expenses, some training, salaries, Medicare, OPERS, and hospitalization. So again, all these things here are more delayed funding until we know what the carryover is, and then we can.
What's the juvenile probate for 806,000? What's the?
The juvenile probate court did not budget this year, or in 2020, to fund the juvenile detention home. That's the joint Portage County, Geauga County detention home.
I understand that, but why is
well, because those, if the juvenile probate court is not going to be paying for those, and
Yeah.
we decide to still do that program, then those, which,
I see what you're saying.
yeah, so
Okay.
we're going to have to, those are going to have to land somewhere.
Okay, but okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's probably not going to go back to the juvenile probate court, but it is going to probably either land in the commissioner's lap.
It's part of our budget now.
It
will,
Yeah.
it will become, if the juvenile court doesn't budget it, then we budget it.
Yeah. So they're not truly saving
There's no
$800,000.
savings, it's
Yeah.
being, it's just,
We're paying.
it's taking
Yeah.
money from one account and
Right.
putting it in,
Yeah.
that you pull out from that account and
But it
just
makes
putting it in
it,
another.
this makes it
account.
look like they're requesting 800 on top of whatever. No, they're not.
They're not they
Yeah.
didn't request it,
Okay.
is essentially what
Okay,
happened.
so maybe that one shouldn't even be in there. What about the sheriff, the 343,000, is that their
That's
salary?
primarily salaries, yes.
Is that the proposed 2020 raises? Is that what they're saying for?
I would imagine so, yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah, for the sheriff, it was salary increases, Medicare, OPERS, workers' comp, and hospitalization. So it was all like payroll, benefits related
Mhm.
on their end, so obviously in there, as well as the Board of Elections equipment, clerk of courts, common pleas, these are all relatively small amounts.
Those are salary increases, clerk of courts.
Clerk of courts, as well as some materials and supplies and travels that we decreased.
Hmm.
For our stuff, it was, this was mainly just kind of looking through the history and seeing what we could trim back.
Mhm.
One of the big things that I reduced was the Bureau of, for the children with mental handicaps. What we've been doing over the years past is we get the notice from the state as to what we need to set aside based on our budget, and typically it's about 300 plus thousand. With the exception of 1 year in recent history, we haven't spent above 100,000. So basically 200 plus thousand in appropriations was sitting out there, and so I just didn't appropriate for that until we're gonna need it, so.
And so that would become part of the carryover then, the unspent amount?
Correct, yeah.
And then, but all these, just to be clear, these have not been approved, these requests, and
Correct.
until everything's certified, will we entertain approving these, right?
Correct, yes. Yeah, and that will, and I'll come to you, Jerry will come to you, and it will be in session.
Okay.
You know, whatever we decide to
Yeah.
do, and just put it, so. So just kind of to wrap this up, the general fund, as of right now, is debt-free. So that probably won't continue as we look to build new buildings and stuff, but we're trying not to layer debt, you know. We want to, if we incur debt, we want to be free of any other debt so we can concentrate on paying that off and then move on to something else, so. And then, so future items as we're looking to next year, obviously, continuing with the new buildings, looking at retirements and turnover in the county, trying to come up with succession plans and keeping our employees here. Maintenance of the old buildings, obviously, that we'll be keeping, and sale of any old buildings and properties. So those are kind of the things that are before us right now.
Yep.
So,
Very good.
any questions? Commissioner?
Referring to what Tim mentioned before about comparison. In the next month or so, I just wondered if us commissioners could get a comparison of the top 5 highest per capita in the state of Ohio and what their sales tax is
Okay.
versus the counties that are contiguous with Geauga County.
Okay. You mean by contiguous, you mean
The touch
similar in
county.
size or that are around us?
That touch us, yeah.
Okay.
Good. Any
Yeah,
other
we can do
questions?
that.
I just think that it's something that shouldn't be taken lightly, what we've been able to do with this, money situation. When I came here 8 years ago, we were almost $7 million in the hole. And we've totally turned it around to be 6 to 7 million on the other side. I mean, not only are we debt-free, money in the bank, and there's not many people that can say that in government, especially the counties. It's a big kudos to the commissioners, obviously, that were, involved with decisions, but also our department heads and you guys and everybody involved. It's something that shouldn't be taken lightly, and I think that the residents really need to understand that leadership is key and direction is key, because we could take what we have right now and be completely upside down with the wrong direction. And I give kudos to everybody, and appreciate what you guys have done. Adrian, you've done a great job. You've come on board with a lot of different responsibilities, and you've taken it serious, and you've done a great job. And we've had some good people before you also that were real conscientious also. So we've been fortunate, and at the end of the day, this is something that we should really be proud of, because not many people can say this. So good job.
Yeah.
Appreciate everyone's support.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep. Thank you.
So with that,
Yeah.
so this is the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute Resolution 19178, adopting the 2020 permanent annual appropriation resolution in accordance with ORC 575.38 and 575.40.
Okay. Motion, please.
Second.
So moved.
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Right.
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye. Very good, thank you. So while we're signing these, Jerry, we might as well discuss the arrival of 4 firms that replied back to our CMR, for
Yeah, so
CMR.
we put out the request for qualifications back in the beginning of November, with them due in last week. We received 4 of them, one from Dunlop and Johnston, Donley's, Icon, and Panzeca. And my recommendation is I looked through all 4. They're all qualified to be able to do the job. Really comes down to what the proposals will say, how we want to move forward with them. My recommendation is to send out requests for proposals to all 4, to have them submit proposals and come in and talk to the commissioners and whoever else we would want to have in there.
Yeah.
To really kind of get a feel for their operations and what they think and how they want to move forward. So before and we can pick somebody from there to be the construction manager at risk and move forward with the building project.
Excellent, yeah, I agree with you, and I think, you know, all four of these, I'm familiar with all four of them. I mean, they're all very super highly qualified firms, you know, these are not.
I was very pleased
Yeah,
with the four
yeah.
that came in.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. I think, you know, one of the things that that I would ask is, you know, with the construction being such a boon right now, and these guys are busier than they know what to do with it, making sure whoever we pick that we are, you know, on the front burner, you know, we're not on, you know, their, you know, C or D team, you know what I mean? We wanna make sure that we get their number
And
ones,
that,
yeah.
and that is one of the benefits of, the law firm Benish that we picked to help us put these proposals and everything together, is that they are very familiar with all these companies too, and
Yeah.
what they're all currently working on. So I would be talking with Perry Miller, who's the attorney, who's very well respected in the industry for construction too.
He knows these guys.
Get his kind of general take on, you know, here's all the work that they're doing, here's where they're really at, and you're gonna wind up with the C team on this one, because, yeah, they're a good company, but they've got, you know, because they're a good company, they got 10 other projects they're
Right.
working on right now, and you're not gonna be there, you know.
So how soon can we get an interview started with them? I mean, I'd like to do this next week if we could.
It won't be that,
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be
Yeah.
nice to be in next week, but
Yeah.
we need to provide them with an opportunity, with time to
Okay.
put together their proposals and come in with their best proposals and such. So I believe, we were to send the notifications out this week,
Mhm.
with them due back, what was the date on that, the 19th? And then we can set up
I don't have that date
the
in front of
meetings.
me.
after
Well, like,
that.
here's what I would
The
think.
timeline is there in the.
It'd be right around Christmas time would be.
What we should do now to make sure, because, you know, I just want to make sure we're being, I know you guys are, but make sure, in that way it's, we all know what's going on. Being proactive and having a calendar set with timelines and deadlines, and I want to meet those. I don't want to just wait for somebody to reply back. Like, if the phone's not ringing in my business, I'm calling somebody to find out why it's not ringing.
And that's
you
where
know?
we have the timeline set up, and it was
Okay.
it was in the RFQ,
Yes.
what that timeline was for when we'll have the proposals back. So
Okay.
making sure it isn't get us something when you can.
Right,
There's a
exactly.
set date, they all knew what that set date was gonna be when
Yeah.
because it was stated in the RFQ,
Yep,
so it's.
yep. I know
Just have
this,
to look at
I
the
know
calendar and
things
see
move
what those
slowly,
dates
and
are,
it's kind of been a slow burn up to this point, but, you know, but I think we can start, you know, driving this thing, put it into gear and go,
Yes,
you know.
and it's, the other things that is something I just found out late last night, actually yesterday, Monday, is the official closing on the JFS building is set for December 19th.
Oh,
and
good.
the Ravenwood building is set for December 16th.
Wow.
So
we can make a
so
formal
at that point
announcement
we
then?
can be- Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll be finalized.
good.
Press release.
Yes, yeah. That's a big thing, and I think, you know, on the heels of the discussion Adrian just had, you know, we have positioned ourselves in a way that we can now address a project like this without, you know, going and raising sales tax or going out for
Exactly.
levies or going, you know, that's how you get stuff
And
done.
that's been,
you know?
and that's been the
Yeah.
focus of the commissioners and
Yep.
the commissioner's office and this whole thing.
That's exactly
Ensure
right, you know.
We're in a position where when we move forward, we're good, we're not gonna.
Right, that's right. We're not gonna overextend ourselves, but at the same time, you know, I think it's a little too easy just to turn to the taxpayers every time, you know, it's like your parents, you know, you run out of money and they need another $100 or something, you know, it may take you longer to get to the end result, the way we're doing it, but we're doing it the way we're working within our budget.
Correct.
I mean, that's, you know, that's life.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, that's, you know, that's how that's reality, right? So, I appreciate the strategy of this office and the way you guys have conducted it, and even before I was here, you know, the commissioners, I think, were thinking, you know, getting this debt paid off, and, you know, so, I mean, we're in a good position, but,
We'll, you know, go kind of a gratitude to the commissioners back in the late 80s, early 90s, when they bought all that property down there by the.
sure, yeah, smart, yeah.
Because if we had to go out and actually find property, and that'd be an even bigger.
Exactly.
Added expense to this.
I mean, there's a lot of opportunity in that corridor, I think, you know, with you know, obviously the hospital is the big one there. you know, with county services being the second component, and then I think potentially down the road, there's a third component, you know, could be the corporate slash service, or, you know, there could be restaurant, you know, there's a whole lot of opportunity there, you know. And the good thing is the county is in place to kind of light that fire, you know, because we do own the property,
Exactly.
you know,
Yep.
so.
Yeah, we could definitely be the driving force.
Yeah, right.
In that geographical center of the county, and really based, I think all three of us, on service,
Mhm.
serving the residents.
Absolutely.
And it's that simple.
Yeah, yeah, and I know, you know, University Hospitals is, their management, and their long-term vision, they're excited about this. They want to partner with us on this, and, you know, there's a lot of cohesion there between the two, you know, so. Okay, so we'll have those, we'll get those interviews out. Where, TDA, where are they at in this picture right now, as far as their proposal?
We've got the final contract, it's ready to go to be signed. It's just
Mhm.
kind of, we want to make sure we're good with everything here, and, you know, so we can have those kind of signed at the same time as the CMR.
Okay.
So they're working right along.
Okay, so they're kind of
They're
coming
still
up,
doing some things on, you know, in their due diligence process, but
they're coming up with their estimates is what they're
Yes.
working on?
Yes.
Okay, okay. And what, did they give us a deadline or a date of some
should
sort?
be getting those in this week.
Oh, really? Oh, excellent, okay. So you think before the end of this year, say, you know, end of December, we should have what?
Things finalized with TDA.
I think we'll have a contract ready to be signed at that point. We, you know, it's a matter of getting, what we're kind of dealing with right now is the funding side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a contract that's gonna go into next year,
Mm-hmm.
do we want to take the time to set the appropriations aside to then have to de-appropriate and then reappropriate at the beginning of the year?
Okay,
So it's, we're playing with that right now, and whether that makes sense, or just kind of wait till, you know, the first week in January to have
Mhm.
everything signed, because we should have the CMR ready to go at that point. Kind of sign everything at the same time, appropriate it for the whole year,
okay.
and then we move forward. So it's just, again, it's a government financing thing that would de-appropriate it down to $1, to do the $1 carryover for the contract into the next year, and then put the money back into it.
Mm.
It's a goofy state auditor thing that
Okay, okay.
we dealt with a lot of resources with projects that ran from one year to the next.
All right, very good. Okay, so we have a meeting right at 10:30, right?
We're not done.
Oh, we're not done. Okay, what do we got going?
Did we-
So, the
we-
Commissioner's
wait,
Office is
Chris-
requesting the Board select the following 4 construction manager at risk firms as the most qualified to provide the required construction management services for the Geauga County Administrative Office's construction project pursuant to ORC 9.334 subsection A, and that includes Donnelly, Dunlop and Johnston, Pinzika, and Icon. And further request the Board provide each construction management at-risk firm selected with the information required under RC 9.334 subsection B and subsection C.
So move.
Second?
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes. Very good. Well, that's a big deal.
Done.
Big deal. Okay, so we will,
We're not done, sorry.
we're not. What? Okay.
I have one more,
All right.
I'm sorry.
This is, yeah, the Demco Jim Gillette is the attorney for Demco, has requested there be a court reporter at the hearing next
Oh,
week.
okay.
So the motion is to
And they pay for it?
approve that, and yes, it would be on them to pay for the costs of the court reporter.
So we just have to acknowledge that that's okay? Is that?
Chrissy's got the.
Or is there a down payment?
Yeah.
The Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board acknowledge that under ORC 709.032 annexation hearing subsection B, that an official court reporter can be requested to record the hearing, and that if a request is made in writing, that a deposit to pay the costs associated is to be filed with that request. And further request that the Board set the deposit amount at $250 with any additional costs incurred to be paid by the requester.
Okay.
I make that motion.
Second?
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes. And so,
Promise I have no more.
okay, so they have,
And if there's no hearing, if they settle before that, then
it would be reimbursed.
Did they send you the 250 already?
No, I had to have this action taken
Oh.
this morning.
Okay.
He has to file that request
Okay.
with the deposit today in order to meet the timeline of 7 days prior to the hearing.
Sounds good.
So we're under a little bit of we were under a crunch this morning, so.
Okay, very good. Just a couple announcements and meetings. CCAO Winter Conference will start tomorrow and go through the 6th. Next Tuesday, we'll have our planning commission meeting at 7:30 a.m., like always. And then commissioner's office, or commissioner's meeting, will have regular session at 9:30. Does it say, well, okay, so for the proposed petition for annex, so the whole meeting's gonna be about the Demco thing?
The first half an hour, we're gonna try and get all of our regular,
Okay.
business that we have to get taken care of, that session request prior to the public hearing starting at 10 o'clock.
Okay, okay. And then, so on, so on. Okay, I don't see anything else in here. Any questions? Yes?
Yes, how much can you explain about Demco, a name that we haven't heard before?
We know probably as much as you do, really, just from the newspaper, you know? We haven't,
He's the property owner that petitioned the commissioners for the annexation of the 40 acres from the township into the village.
The Hillside Village project in, right there.
I'm not sure you actually want to ask that question.
Yeah.
No, I'm just looking for a little bit of background, so I,
Maple Leaf or the Chagrin Times.
I've been writing about it, so is Joe, it's like everybody, nothing can move forward. The school can't move forward unless they move forward, but they can't move forward unless the township or
So
the
are we
village.
talking a jet kind of thing?
Yeah.
Did any of the news reporters go to
It's actually an
the,
annexation, is the.
Oh.
did any of the news reporters go to Burton Township trustees meeting last night?
I'm assuming, I don't know, I'm off. My shirt says out of office for a reason.
Nice,
I'm not
nice.
actually
Sorry.
here right now.
I'm not here.
But I'm pretty sure it's been.
That's fine.
Ann's been on that. Were you there last night? No. I think Ann's been,
Okay.
or at least Colin.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay,
were trying to figure out how to make a graphic that would explain the situation, and
It's a lot of moving parts.
they're very tied up, right?
Yeah.
They're tied together, yeah.
there's no way, there's no point A to point B.
Right,
It's just,
without somebody
Yeah.
giving in a little bit.
So.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, very good.
Okay.